Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Julie. In today's video, we're going to make a couple of tags. I'm joining Janice and Chelsea, and we are going to show you a few examples on how to use this gorgeous stamp set right here. I'm going to create one tag in red, which is a little bit more contemporary, and then I'm going to take that same tag and make it a little bit more vintage. So let's clear off the desk right here, and let's start with the red tags. Let's start with these red tags right here. With one sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock, you can actually make 8 tags, which is great because you have 4 images here on this great stamp set. So you'll be able to make 2 of each tag. For this video today, I'm going to show you how to make one red tag. It's going to be the same process for all of the 4 images. And then if you stick around, I'm going to show you how to make one that is a little bit more vintage. So for this tag here, and you can see here that I've got some white ones and some red one. And this is a tip that I've picked up from Chelsea. I don't know about you guys, but when you do tags or cards, you often mess up the back. And because I'm using red cardstock, I felt that this was a little bit dark to write on, so I am going to add a second tag on the back, and that's going to be white. We're going to push these out of the way because we want to keep them all nice and clean. So for the first tag, you will see that these images fit really nicely on these tags. So I'm using the one here that is more squared off, and I'm going to use the mason jar. So I've gone ahead and I've mounted all of my images. So I've got the mason jar. I'm also going to bring in the design elements stamp set for a few things. I did want to use this image right here because it resembles snow, and then I've got a really nice border right here. So I've got these all mounted, ready to go. Because I know I'm going to repeat this twice, I just felt that it was really good to get them all ready, and that way we can just kind of work through the assembly line. So for the first one right here, the first thing you want to do, we are going to emboss all of these images in white embossing powder. So I'm going to take my tool here, and I'm just going to make sure that I season my cardstock so that my embossing powder doesn't go where I don't want it to go. And we're going to start with the bottom right here. So I'm going to use the Versamark. We're going to stamp that right at the bottom, just like so. And you probably can't see any of that. So for the purpose of this video, and also to help me, I am going to emboss each of the stamp images. That way I know exactly where to add the next one. And I'm working my way from the bottom up. So we're going to move this to the side. I'm going to take the featured image. Going to bring in my sheet right here, and you can basically just pick up your embossing powder and just shake it on. So you can see here that I've got a little bit of stragglers. I'm just going to take my brush and take these off. And that looks pretty good. So we're going to move that over. And then we're going to finish it off with the snowflakes. And what I like about this stamp image is that it really nestles into one another. We're going to stamp here, and I can see the Versamark on here, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp again. You probably can't see this on the video, but I can definitely see it here. All right. I'm just going to pick up the rest of my powder, and we're going to put the rest of this inside the jar. So this is the first stamp, and I'm going to use the same process. So starting at the bottom, putting the featured image and then some snow at the top, but I'm going to use all of the different images that come with this stamp set, and I will show you a full project recap at the end. But we're just going to move right along with this one here because basically everything else is the same. I'm going to use just a sanding block right here, and I'm going to expose the white core on the edges. Now this is completely optional. You don't have to do this, but I think that it looks really good. And for my to and from, I did use this one right here. So this was a special last year's CC10 2221, and I'm using the to and from this stamp set right here, and I am going to stamp those using cranberry. I'm just going to test it here and see what that looks like, and that looks really good. So when I make tags, I like to add them to one block, and then I can just go through the assembly. It just moves a little bit faster. So we've got the back right here. That's going to go right in back of this tag. So I'm going to glue these two together, and then we're just going to add a bow. And that's it for these tags right here. They're really simple and elegant, and they look a little contemporary because they're done on red. Okay, so we've got our tag, and by doing the white on the front of the tag, if you don't line up your tag perfectly, it doesn't matter. So here's the first one right here. I purchased this off of Amazon. It is the bow maker for ribbon. I'll list it down below. Like most people, making bows is not my favorite thing, but I find that with this little tool, it really does help. So I'm going to cut a generous amount because I know that I want to do a triple loop on this one. And with this little tool, if you want, it's really, really easy. So basically what you're going to do, and you can see that I've got a really long tail, I am going to cross the back over this front one right here, and then I'm going to go around 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go underneath, just like so, over, and then we're going to tie a knot, and that's it. And it's really easy with this little tool, and I find that when you use this kind of material, which is organza, you can really tie it nice and tight, and it's just that simple. You can almost see it. So I'm just going to pop these out because I did make this really, really tight. I'm going to pull this to the side. I've got my little bow here. You still have to fluff it out. And then I'm just going to take the little loops out and kind of spread them out. And just with the add of a really pretty bow, that is not hard to do with that tool. Look at that. Isn't that cute? It's nice and fluffy. We're going to add it right here at the top. Okay, so for the last step for this tag right here, I just need to adhere my little bow, or my fluffy bow if you want, right here at the top. And I found that using just my glue gun worked really, really well. I'm going to add this right at the top of the tag. I'm going to push that in. And then I'm just using white twine. I've doubled that up. I'm just going to pass this through the top. And this is tag number 1. And I think that it looks really pretty, and it's quite simple to do. Now I'm going to go off camera, and I'm going to make this same tag, this same design, using all 4 of these images. But instead of making you watch that, I'm going to move on, and we're going to do the same design, but with a vintage look. For this tag here, we're going to repeat the same process, and we're just using white cardstock. So again, one sheet will cut 8 tags. So you'll need 2 sheets of white if you're doing these ones, because I'm still going to have the one at the back. And the reason why I need one at the back is that I'm going to be doing splatters, and we all know when we make splatters, we tend to make a little bit of a mess. And you're just going to add a little bit of black on the edges of this tag. Now I am using intense black here because I am going to color in my image just a tiny little bit. So this is the first step. You add a little bit of black ink. I'm going to stamp the same images except for the snow, because snow isn't black, and it's okay because it's not going to matter. You'll see that in a second. So I'm going to start with this one right here. Just going to wipe these as we go. And then I'm going to do this one right here, and I'm going to do it directly above. And that looks really good to me. So we're going to clean off our image right here. And as I mentioned, I'm not going to use black snow because snow is not black, right? Let's clean off the back surface. I'm going to be coloring this image here just with ink. So I'm going to press some of the color into the lid, and I'm going to bring in one of my water pen, and this is the one that has a really small tip. And I'm going to do the door. We're going to move on to the jade color. We're going to do the same thing, and I'm going to add a little bit of green to the greenery here at the bottom, and then we're going to do the wreath and the little tree. Okay, so you can see that this is very easy, very simple, and it does look like watercolor. Now, to make it look vintage, I'm going to bring in a little bit of acorn, and of course, I'm going to add some splatters. Now, to add my splatters, I did go ahead and I did stamp these. I added a tiny little bit of glue at the back. I'm going to put this right here on top, because I found that if you did splatters on top of this image, it really took away from the image itself. So I created a little mask, and I'm just going to bring in some black re-inker here. And you really do not need a lot. Like 1 drop is more than enough. So I'm just using a really small brush, and I'm going to add some splatter with my re-inker. And you're going to see that instantly this turns it into a more vintage look. Now, the reason why I used re-inker is because it also dries quickly. So I'm going to pick that up, and you see that there's a lot going on at the back. That's why we're doing another tag at the back side. So I'm going to clean up my little mess here, and I'm going to allow this to dry a little bit. So while this is drying, we're going to make another one of those fluffy bows. Now, the reason why I chose this one here, and you'll see that there's tons of different bow makers out there. I like this one because you can actually make a tiny little bow on this side. So we're going to do the same thing, and to give it a more vintage look, I am going to use this really nice festive ribbon. So we're going to do the same thing, right? The tail at the back, this is my long tail. I'm crossing over this one, and I'm going around twice, which will give me 3 loops. I go underneath all of them, I cross on top, and then I tie it into a bow. Now, my tails are quite long here. I probably could be a little bit more conservative, but it's just easier to show you the process. I'm going to pull these out, and then we're going to spread out our little loops, and it just makes the perfect bow every time. Just have to fuss with it a little bit just to fluff it out. But I think that that looks really, really pretty. So again, my tails here are quite long. I think I'll have to adjust how much ribbon I'm allowing myself to waste. I don't want to waste that much next time. So let's take off our little mask. Do you see that? All of the dots are around, but they're not interfering with the image. Now you could definitely stop right here. Let me bring this up so that you can see it. You could definitely stop right here, and that's a really pretty one. But to make it more vintage, I decided to bring in a little bit of acorn, and it just makes it that really nice shade of brown. I'm just adding it really, really lightly on the sides. And it just warms it up, and instantly it looks vintage. So we're just going to go all around, and that is it for that. I am going to stamp the back just like this one, and I think I'll do it in red as well. I think that that would look nice. I've got my to and my from, and now I can hide all of this mess that I created in the back of my tag. So I'm just going to glue these together. We are going to add our bow, and then we're going to bring in just a little shimmer, because why not, right? So let me just add some glue here. I also like doubling them up because they're a little bit more sturdy. So we just need to add our bow and our twine. So we're going to add our twine at the top. We're going to fold that in half. We're going to pull that through. So we've got our little topper right here. We're going to add, again, some hot glue, just a little dot. We don't need a lot. And then we are going to add our bow right here at the top. I'm going to fluff it up. And I really, really, really like how this looks. Now for the last touch, we're going to bring in our clear shimmer brush, and we're just going to add a little shimmer to the mason jar. Not a lot, but just a little bit, and you probably can't really see it on camera. I'm just going around the image right here, and we're going to do the same for the red one. And I'm adding just a tiny little bit. Now, of course, this is optional, but it does add a little bit of shimmer and shine to your tag. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to go ahead and complete all of the other tags with all of the images, and then we'll do a quick project recap. Let's take a look at the completed tags. I think they look fantastic. They were all done with this gorgeous stamp set right here. And if you want to see other examples with this stamp set, don't forget to watch Janice's and Chelsea's video. And if you want to get your hands on this great stamp set, don't forget that VIPs get this for free. That's it for me today. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.